Hey, this is Jake Howe's View. Thanks for tuning in. Just a quick update here from Wenzhou, China, where I'm currently on the ninth floor of the Shangri-La Hotel, and looking out to see a lot of cars passing by, boats out in the ocean, and we're just a few hours away from a press conference that's going to feature the casting crew from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, the vice president of the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and others who will be involved in, I guess it will be tomorrow's show. It's Friday here, Friday the 13th, so lucky number 13. This has been quite an adventure, guys, and I know for a fact I'm lucky to be tagging along with the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood crew. They've been very welcoming. Nick, Dave, Heather, Watts, Reno Scum, all these guys have been really cool to hang out with. Logan, sorry if you're listening, I didn't mean to exclude you. Really, I mean, it's like a motley crew. You wouldn't expect these guys to be as kind as they are on the exterior, but all a bunch of good people. We've been treated well by the local sponsors here. I got to meet Simon Inoki. I've known of him for years, but I finally got to shake his hand and talk to him. Got to talk a little with Colt Cabana this morning and Dave Lagana, and of course Dave Marquez. And there's a lot of exciting plans for the NWA. I'm not going to spoil anything. Besides, I don't really have anything to spoil. You all know what they're trying to do, and they're doing it so far. Wow, looking out the window, there's a person walking in the crosswalk. Cars are not even stopping, nor is the person walking. It's pretty intense. I'm just hoping that they get across the street safely. Sorry for that mild interruption, but still walking cars are just flying by them. They're not even slowing down. Sorry for that distraction. This has been a very eye-opening experience as a writer. I've had time to write for featuredendeavor.net. I've been able to write an article or two for alliance-wrestling.com. I've been given the go-ahead that an article that I'm working on will be published over at Pro Wrestling Illustrated, which, as a journalist, that's kind of like a dream come true for me. In the past, I have written for various wrestling magazines as well as online wrestling content. I was the managing editor at SoCal Uncensored for almost a decade. I've written countless articles that have been published on websites like Pro Wrestling Insider. I've written content for obviously Alliance-Wrestling. I've been doing that for several years, 12 years to be in fact. I've also written, outside of the realm of wrestling. I've written for websites like LA Angels Insider, and so as a journalist, it's pretty cool. I have been, like I said, published before in an actual magazine, part of the Mass Republic's Lucha magazine. I was able to be featured in that, and I thought that was pretty cool. But when you're a kid growing up, and I'm sure a lot of you are like me, we're in the same book, same page. Any chance you got to go to the grocery store or liquor store, you made that effort to spin by the pro wrestling, the magazine section. There wasn't always a lot to choose from. It was typically either the WWE magazine or WWF magazine or Pro Wrestling Illustrated. So, and in the past, I've talked to guys from PWI on my podcast, and it's something kind of satisfying to know that I'm going to be published in a magazine I grew up reading. That's pretty cool. So, I do have to actually make a decent article first, so it's not a dead giveaway, but that's pretty exciting. And, part of this new approach that Jake Hal's taking. Wow, I'm speaking about myself in a third person. I don't normally do that. The new approach that I'm taking to my journalism is to actually try to be more professional. And when we're talking about professional wrestling, besides citing sources and really giving factual information, not just guesses, But I'm trying to take a different approach to the whole thing. So being able to write the right way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's just crazy. You know, I'm here in China, guys. Like, that's a pretty big deal. And I'm the only American journalist here. And I'm being introduced to representatives of the state as a writer, as a reporter, not as a fan who just tagged along, but as a reporter. And, you know, I take pride in that. And I think that's really cool. Being here has been a blast too. Watching just the local media, how they are handling the wrestlers in general. It's been fun to watch. We were at breakfast yesterday morning, and the wait staff was just absolutely terrified of Reno Scum. If you guys aren't familiar with who Reno Scum is, you know, make sure to check out my Twitter feed. I'll be posting pictures of them later, but two very big dudes. Lester the Legend has a mohawk that probably sits at least 10 inches tall, 6 inches tall. And he's already a big guy and covered in tattoos. And the people here just don't know what to think of it. And it's fun, man. I mean, there's definitely a different culture out here. And, you know, we'll be here sitting in the lobby and it just feels like, you know, we're just in another town back home. But the reality is I'm about 8,000 miles away from home. And that's kind of unique. Not a lot of people have made this trip out to China. And this event is not just a regular show. I mean, there's a lot riding on it. The folks at the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood are certainly hoping that this leads to more events. I know the folks at Inoki Genome Federation are hoping that this leads to a more exposure to wrestling in China, because honestly, the sport here is relatively unknown. There's been, you know, between MMA and professional wrestling, there's been about 44 wrestling MMA events in this country. And I'm not saying 44 events in this city. I'm saying 44 events in this country. And that ranges from Shanghai to Beijing to Wenzhou. And, you know, it sounds like these small places, but these are cities like that dwarf the size of New York. So it's very humbling to know that I'm going to be a part of this experience. Again, I'm not really competing in the ring. I'm not really, no one's here to see me, but that I get to document this historic night, this historic experience. You know, it's just really humbling, and I'm very thankful for that. And like I said earlier, I have been posting both on alliance-wrestling.com and futureendeavor.net. Both of those sites are my babies. I've been doing the Future Endeavor for just about a year now, and you know, that site is the site that I used to write about the ongoings in professional wrestling of, you know, who is going where. And, you know, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there isn't really a website dedicated to tracking which wrestlers are wrestling where, you know, which big free agents have gotten signed. So on that site right now, you could read about Jack Evans departing from Lucha Underground along with Angelico, which was more or less a foregone conclusion. He had announced his departure from AAA earlier in the year, so him leaving Lucha Underground doesn't really surprise me. I finally was able to write about Alberto being fired from Impact Wrestling, which, again, if you don't show up for events, isn't a big surprise. And also about Zack Sabre joining the New Japan Pro Wrestling roster on a full-time basis. So that's the updates that I have there. And I was able to use one of the photos that I took from Long Beach at the New Japan Pro Wrestling show. So that was kind of cool for me. And I always like showcasing my mediocre photography skills. So, and then when you go to alliance-wrestling.com, of course, I've written about the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood promotional appearances here in Wenzhou. I also wrote about the Kingland Cloverleaf versus the Billy Goat Curse, which is the finishing moves of both Colt Boom Boom Cabana and the National Treasure Nick Aldis. Both men have won the NWA World title using their finishing move, and I imagine that tomorrow night, either the Billy Goat's Curse or the Kingsland Cloverleaf is going to be what wins the world title or retains the world title tomorrow. Also, we posted recently the video of Josephus and Billy Corgan and their strange meeting that took place back in Nashville. That got posted just the other day. Also, former NWA World Champion Jack Danes returns. I think that's pretty cool. He was out with an injury, rehabbed the heck out of it, 13 weeks, and he's back. So you might see a lot more of Jack Stain along with Crimson, Anthony Mayweather, out in Tried and True Pro Wrestling. You might see them show up in some other places. It'll be exciting to see what happens with him. Of course, one of the crazy things is that Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is doing their live event on Sunday following the show out here in China. And it's going to be different people, obviously, but I think that's a testament to the depth of not only the talent inside the ring, but also the guys behind the scenes who handle production and taking care of the front office responsibilities. When Marquez is out here, there's people back at home who are taking care of Hollywood as well. So a lot of cool things up at alliance-wrestling.com. Make sure you check out that site, please. Really looking for the support to pick up. Also, please join the message board because I'm posting some candid photos that I've taken from the event under the Musings from Wenzu thread on the NWA discussion page. Plus, if you're a fan of the NWA, you should be on that board anyways because we're talking about the NWA ad nauseum, and I think you guys will really get a kick out of it. So if you haven't been to the forum before, check it out. I guess that's pretty much all I have for right now. We're just a few hours away from the press conference, so I got to get the phone back on the charger and get the camera ready. I will be taking some more amateur photography and seeing if I can make anything of substance for the site. So, guys, make sure you visit alliance-wrestling.com. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alliance blog for the website, or if you want to see more of my personal stuff, you can check out at first to third. That's all spelt out, first to the number 2 TWO third. And I guess that's it for now. Stay tuned. Maybe I'll be back on here tomorrow before the show. I am trying to get some interviews with Watts, with Heather Monroe, and maybe Reno Scum as well. We'll see what else happens. But until then, guys, thank you for your patronage, for listening to this show and following the website. I don't do this just for me. I'm doing it for all of us, all the fans. So check it out, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.